Hey guys, it's your pal Dave from notesandvolts.com. And sometimes the hardest part of making music is getting ideas. You turn on your computer, you start your favorite recording software, you reach down deep inside, and there's nothing there. I recently bought a program that really helped to unlock my creativity and get those ideas flowing. It's called Endless. At its heart, Endless is an audio looper, but it has a number of really interesting features that make it something special. The key feature of Endless is something called Retrospective Looping. So instead of hitting record, playing your idea, and then hitting stop, you just play. And when you hear something that you like, you just hit the loop button and it will capture the last thing you played. It's a really cool system, and once you get used to it, you won't want to go back to traditional loopers. But that's just the start. Endless also has an online component that not only lets you store and share your loops, it lets you jam with people online in real time. Endless comes as a standalone program that will integrate with your Ableton Push 2 if you have one, and it can be the heart of your entire system. It also comes as a VST or AU plugin, so you can integrate it into a DAW. You can also get an iOS version that will run on your iPhone or tablet, but I haven't tried that one personally. I just want to add that I purchased this program myself. I am not being sponsored by Endless in any way. I just really like the program. So let's take a look at how it works. So here we are at the main screen of Endless Studio. And you can tell this program was designed with performance in mind because this is the only screen you need. Everything is shown on this screen. There's no menu diving, nothing like that. Everything is right at your fingertips. The little MIDI icon in the upper right of the screen will take us to our MIDI mapping page where we can map the controls of Endless to a custom MIDI controller. The gear icon in the corner takes us to the app settings page. The first thing you can change is the looper mode. Advanced mode is Endless's retrospective looper, which is kind of the key to Endless. But if you want, you can change it to a traditional punch-in, punch-out looping mode. You can also change the clock source. You can select internal, MIDI clock, or Ableton Link. I use Ableton Link to link all my programs together, and it makes the process very easy. On the bottom, there's a button for audio settings. This lets you select which inputs and outputs on your sound card you want to use. And you can also change MIDI settings, which MIDI devices you want to have active in Endless. Okay, so let's start making some noise with this thing. First of all, I'm going to enable the metronome. There's a little button at the top of the screen that does that, or you can push metronome on the Ableton Push. Now we'll select one of the 6 sources. You can see them in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. The first source I'll select is drums. The bottom keys on the push are my drum pads, and the upper keys are the different drum kits. The drum kits also have some parameters that you can see at the top of the screen that are controlled by the pots of the Ableton Push. Endless also has a Quantize function, so I'm going to turn it off by hitting Quantize on the push, and you can see now that there is 0 quantizing on my playing. Whatever I play goes in. Now when I hit the Quantize button, my playing will be locked to the nearest 16th note. You can select other values in the Quantize menu. Now let's take a look at how we actually record into Endless. You can see the bar in the middle of the screen that has the audio waveform of what I'm playing scrolling by. Now here's the cool thing. I don't have to push record and then play and then stop the recording like you would traditionally. I just play. And when I hear something I like, I just snag the last 1, 2, 4, or 8 bars of audio. So I can decide after the fact that I just did a good take and I want to keep that audio. You can choose what bars you want to loop by pushing one of the 4 buttons on the lower right corner of the Ableton Push. When you create a loop, you'll see a new icon appear at the top of your Endless screen. This is a visual representation of the audio waveform I just created. A new icon will appear every time I add a new element to my loop. Once I've got some loops going, I can mix them by hitting the mix button at the top of the Ableton Push. By turning the potentiometers, I can set the level of each loop. I can also turn on and off individual loops by hitting the buttons at the top of the push. Now let's add a hi-hat part. Endless is designed to keep you moving forward, so there's no real undo button in Endless, but what you can do is select one of your previous clips and continue on from there. Now we're ready to add some more to this loop, so let's go to the yellow note source. You can do this on the push by holding device and pushing the yellow square. Notes contains a bunch of keyboard sounds that you can select with the upper buttons and play with the lower buttons. Now let's add a bass line by going to the blue bass source. Each sound has parameters that you can change by using the pots on the top of the push. Now let's check out the green effects source. This allows you to add effects to your loops after you've recorded them. I'm going to add some delay to that keyboard loop. Once again, I can use the select buttons to go back to previous versions of my loop. Here's a neat trick. I'm going to go to the mixer and mute the keyboard part. I'm then going to push the new button on the left-hand side of the push to make a new clip of this mix. Now let's check out my favorite part of Endless, the audio input source. This lets you bring external audio sources into Endless, like external keyboards, mics, guitars, bass, anything you can plug into your sound card. I'm going to add a little lead line using my Volca bass. Now let's check out the last source in Endless, the sampler. First, I'll record a loop with an external keyboard. Now I'll select the purple sampler button. I can select which sound I want to record with the top buttons on the push. Now I'll use the red record button to sample the audio. I can now play the sampled audio using the keypads. The buttons at the top allow me to select different playback modes. So now that you've seen how Endless works, we need to take a look at the most exciting part of this program, the online component. When you create an idea in Endless, you're actually creating something called a riff. And Endless lets you store your riffs in the cloud so you can bring them back later and work on them some more. But if you create something you're really proud of, you can save it as a public riff, and then other people can take it, listen to it, and remix it. Let's take a look at some riffs from other Endless users. If you find something you like, just hit the remix button and then you can continue working on the riff and play with it as much as you want. So a collection of riffs in Endless is called a jam. And when you're working by yourself, you're actually working on your own jam or a solo jam. But amazingly, Endless actually lets you jam with other people, so several people can work on a jam all together. You can create a private jam and just invite your friends, or go to the Public Jams tab and you can explore jams that anyone can join. When you find one you like, just start adding your own loops and see where it goes. The other people in the jam won't hear what you're doing until you push the loop button and submit your loop. So you can mess around a bit until you find something you like. There's also a chat window so you can talk to your fellow jammers. Well, there you go, guys. That's Endless Studio, a program I've been really enjoying, and I hope you're inspired to check it out. It's fun. But before we go, we got to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys for making this all possible and sponsoring this video. As always, we got to end the video with a Patreon jam. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you soon.